It's my best deck ever.
Hey everyone, I think we'll kick off now. There's probably still a few people still trickling in through the waiting room. Welcome back to the Canberra Innovation Network Weekly Innovation Challenge. Today we've got something a bit different for you, and we're going to run it in a slightly different format. I spoke to Matt about talking about his ideas on website and sales optimization, and the more we talked, it just turned into a bit of a masterclass. So I'm just going to put Matt in charge, and he's going to have at you. He's got a lot of really interesting information to share based on his real life practical experience. As always, be engaged, ask questions, put it on the chat. Zach and I in particular will be monitoring the chat and make sure we'll let Matt know if we've got a really good question to pass on to you.
Even a bad one.
No such thing as a bad question, I guess.
Exactly. More questions the better.
Questions. We want questions. Dig into it. Ask Matt why. What's going on? How did you figure that out? Whatever you want to know. We've got a lot to cover, so we will move pretty quick, but don't be shy to jump in. Look, and I think with that, I'm just going to hand over to Matt. For those who don't know, Matt Bullock, and he'll introduce himself briefly, is a local entrepreneur. His business is Spinify. Prior to that, he built a business called eWay, but now it's Spinify. Spinify, did I say Spinify?
Spinify, you did.
Nothing wrong with being on brand. And I think probably Matt's content will probably explain better than I can describe about him. So over to you, Matt.
No worries. So my voice is pretty boring. What's good for me is to get you guys to actually ask questions as well for what we're going here. So we're going to do things a bit differently. I'll explain why we're doing them and how we're going to do them. Part of it's going to be a poll. Can everyone see the right screen?
Yep, you're looking good.
Okay. Cool. So my story, Craig was saying it, we're gamification. I take data, I make it exciting competitions. We're in 28 countries and got 400,000 leaderboards, which looks something like this on TVs. I do a lot of stuff also on Microsoft Teams. But what I'm really about doing is exciting people to create competitions and have fun. Now, for the whole point of this thing, right, I'm just talking to Craig. For some of you, it's really quiet right now. And some of you it isn't, but those quiet times, from when this happened to us, for me, the first time was a fantastic time just to fix stuff. So I've got a couple of questions for you. The first one is just put a number in your head. You don't have to tell anyone, but what's a sale worth? So is a sale worth $50? Is a sale worth 50 grand? But think about what a sale's worth. And I want you to stick with that number because I'm going to explain why later about what it's worth. Me today, if can everyone hear me okay? All good? Yeah. So I'm going to give you a bunch of ideas, and if you get one out of it, it's super cool. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about, which is what the problem here is, and what people probably don't realize is on your website, 97% of the people that come to your website are anonymous, which means they don't fill out a contact form, they don't do anything. And this problem is a massive problem, right? Think of that, the opportunity when you look at it the other way. I've got 97% of people I can convert. So I'm going to help you change that 97% number. And that's what the whole of today is. Does that make sense to everyone? All good. Okay, so make sure you put stuff in the chat. Okay, so why is it 97% of the people that come to our website do nothing? It's because we have forms that suck, that are terrible, that no one fills out. And you've probably got some in there. We probably also have websites that suck and are horrible as well, that don't make people convert. Looking at the traffic is where all this comes from, about understanding it, which I want to show you what we're going to do that, how we're going to solve that. But what it comes down to is really engagement. And this is the big bit, right? So someone's on the website, how do I engage them? And The other part, which is super, super important, is the speed to engage. So how long you take to get back to someone once they've engaged with you dramatically changes. Like, this is not my facts, this is everywhere. So I'm going to show you not how to just get the engagement back, but then to do something about it, and how to do something quickly about it. Okay, so I've got a bunch of answers here. I've got text messages flying in there anyway. These are the different things I'm going to talk about, and I'll go into more details. So for me, doing things a little bit differently, and I don't want it to really be like the guy that's going to sleep, is I'm going to ask you questions, and they're an anonymous poll, and then we'll figure out how many of you guys are actually doing this stuff right now, so you don't feel like you're alone. And then we'll share what that data is, right? So they're going to be interactive polls of what we're going to do. So the first question for everyone, and there's a poll that we can pop up, was who has live chat on their website right now? If we pop that poll.
Zach's just doing it.
It's live at the moment.
And it's all anonymous.
Just quick yes, no answer.
You can't use the poll. It says host is sharing poll results, not the poll.
Oh, what's going on?
Yeah, that's weird.
Results. Thanks, Liz. It was working a minute ago.
Yeah.
Do I have to stop sharing to make it work?
Yeah, we can't use it.
Okay, how's that? Can you see the poll now?
Let me try that now.
Yeah, that's better.
Cool.
Okay, thanks.
Do I have to, can I share again my screen or?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be right now.
Okay, so if everyone just fills out that poll, it's cool. So live chat's that little bubble on the bottom of your website that does it, right?
These are our results.
Okay, so cool. So this is a live chat program, what it currently looks like. This is what it looks like for me as someone looking at my website and seeing the people on it and having a conversation about it. It's, for me, one of those biggest things to do. This is on my actual website. This is a form I have and the chat that I have in the corner. But for me, it's one of the biggest ways. I'm going to show you lots of other ways, but the biggest way to get that actual interaction is by doing it. This is a program that I use, but this is another level, but you don't need to be to this level, but I can actually see where the people are, what company they're from. I can see where they are in my sales funnel, and I can even click a button and call them. Now, there's many different levels of chat, but that's obviously a very high level. This is how many current chat providers there are out there. So there's lots of them, right? And of all the things here, if you're not doing it, you should do it. All this software I'm going to show you, almost all of it comes with a trial. So you can look at it, trial it, see if it works, it doesn't work for you. These are some standard ones that I've actually used them all. And I'll put ticks next to the one that I actually use. So I won't do this for all of them, but on this one, I'll give you some of the objections why people say I can't use chat. And they'll say things like, I don't have enough staff to do it. What if I miss the chat? I'm not there all the time. Well, the whole point of these programs they're not necessarily made that you have to sit there and answer the chat. What they do is think about it like a form that someone fills out. They then answer something on the form and it keeps on going. So they have things in what you call bots.
Matt, someone's asked, should you use Facebook Messenger?
It's it's another chat. So for me, it doesn't matter what you use, right? You should have chat. You should do something with chat because it's a way to get that interaction with someone.
I would say it partly depends on your user base because some demographics love Facebook Messenger and some.
Yeah, 100%. So there were definitely things that work better for different chat programs, but you know what? Like I said, there's quite a few of them. But find the one that works for you and seriously think about putting on. So currently we've got 76% of you that don't use chat, right? So there's a large opportunity for that 76% to do something. The other thing to think about is, and I use Ninja Forms, but think about where you have a form on your website. Where does that form connect to? Does it just send an email or does it actually connect into, for me, it's connecting to Salesforce. Does it connect to your CRM? Does it connect to your email marketing platform? Think about those forms and how smart they are. For me, example, I block countries that I don't want to work in. So they don't even get to fill the form out. And I could go on and on with bunches of rules and forms, but think about what you're doing on your form, and is your form stupid? Saying that on a form where if you don't have a form and you just have here's our email address and it's info@blah.com, you don't want to do that either. You actually want a form because it's a way that you can qualify someone and find out data about them.
Matt, two things. One thing that's worked really well for me in the past with a form is you get someone to fill it out and you watch them do it.
Yes, and I'm going to talk about watching people watching them do it. The other thing on a form, which can be very powerful, is a multi-part form. I'm only going to ask you 2 questions, but then after you answer that, then I'm going to give you another one and another one, as opposed to someone looks at lots of questions and go, well, I'm not filling all that out.
Liz says, do you need to get back to your customer immediately?
Well, that's that thing I was talking about at the very beginning. Speed is everything.
The faster, the better?
Faster, the better for me. Speed to lead. The slower you do it, the worse the result. And if you're competing with someone and then you get back quicker and you're first, the stats are something crazy. Like it's something like 80, 90% chance that you'll close the deal just because you can be the worst service, but because you got back faster, you've just increased your odds just based on how quick you've done something.
Totally. What if you're a bit under-resourced and people expect then a quick response, but they actually get a slower response? Could that be counterproductive? Thoughts?
No, it is what it is, right? So just do everything you can to be faster. Do what you can.
One thing I've used in that circumstance is you can automatically send some sort of basic response and say, we'll get back to you with a real person in X hours or whatever the time frame is that is realistic.
You can also try and fake it as well and have a canned response that kind of looks like a person. So there's lots of ways. There's lots of ways. Anything else on chat?
I think I've picked out most of them. Matt, you keep going.
Okay, so the next one, we're going to put a poll up on this one. So this is about on your website. Do you let people book a meeting with you? Now, it's not relevant for everyone, but do you let people actually, so I fill out the form, I want to get a demo, I want to do something. Can I now see your calendar and book a time with you? Something like this. So for me, I've got a form that you fill out. I then qualify you. I go, right, you're qualified. Now I go, okay, now I'm going to rate you to this rep. Okay, this is the time the rep's available, as opposed to what it normally is. Fill out a form. I'll get the email. I'll then reply to the email. I'll then send you a calendar. You reply back to that. I'll send you another thing, or we'll call each other 5 times. This is how do you then, you're on the site now. How do we just get that connection, that time happening right now?
30% yes and 70% no, Matt.
70% no.
So most people don't do this. I hardly see anyone who does do this. So this is another tremendous opportunity about just saying to people, make it, and what we're doing is just making it easy for that 97% of those anonymous crazy people that don't want to connect, right? We're just making it easier for them to connect to you. Again, there's a few places that do bits of software that do this. There's a lot to choose from in there. I've used quite a few. I use Calendly, but again, lots to use there. Really simple to set up as well. Really simple to set up. Okay, so this next one is probably less people actually do this, but how many people use software who identifies and looks at the anonymous people on their website? So what that's looking like in this program lead feeder, I can see all these people from these companies that are on my website, but I know they work in that company, but they haven't connected with me yet. Many people do that. So again, we're looking at anonymous traffic.
Online webinar for my business. Can I ring you back in an hour? How are you thinking?
Alison, just mute yourself, please.
Sorry.
All good.
90% no, Matt, on this one.
Yeah, so this is another level, right? Most people never think about doing this sort of stuff, but it is very cool to do because you can also find out, you can see your competitors are on your website. Now, one small thing about this is it doesn't tell you every single anonymous traffic. It's going to tell you about somewhere between 30 and 40%. But you can also see big companies that are looking at you. It can then help you go and look for prospects because you can see that those people are on your site. What country? You can see what pages they're on. You can see how many times they come back. You can see that here's a company we're trying to do a deal with, and They've been on our site 12 times. They didn't contact us once. So you look at that 97%, right? There's a lot of traffic there with people not talking to you, but now you can see it. So that's cool.
Matt, what do you do with that information?
That's on another slide.
Okay, we'll get to that.
That's my answer to just about everything, right? I'll come to that one. So there's a few people in that space, not a lot of them. I particularly use Lead Feeder, but they're all much the same. But that's what they do, and you can do trials on them. So there's something to look at.
Matt, what's a platform like Lead Feeder cost?
I think about $1.99
a month.
So this is not the so far. The other stuff's been quite cheap. This is getting a little bit higher up in cost. But it's showing you something that you would be truly amazed about, that you've got people on your site now that you go, oh, right, HP's back on my site again. That's the third day in a row HP have been on there, and there's 12 people from HP. What the heck's going on? So it is
you might make a bit more than $1.99 on that sale.
Yeah, and that's why that question at the very beginning, what's a deal worth? So if a deal's worth $5,000 and this thing costs you $1.99 a month and it helps you close a deal, it's worth every cent. You don't have to do all these things, and you figure out what the priority is.
Yeah, so it's all about that ratio, isn't it, between the
Yes.
money you spend and the profit you bring in from new transactions.
Yes, and if your deal's worth $50 or $5, maybe it's going to be really hard because you've got to bring a lot in.
Yep.
And every business is different. So this next question is on that data that I found with those anonymous people. Do I then go and use those as prospects and leads? So now I know HP's on the website. I now know it was HP in Australia. I now know there's 5 people in HP Australia that would look at my product because they're the sales manager. I then use these products and I go to LinkedIn. I find that person. I now get their email and their phone number.
73% no, but 27% yes.
So this is a harder thing as well.
27%.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So this is a harder thing, but this is about hunting and about looking at that anonymous traffic. Now going off and trying to hunt to find those people to use these tools to get their details. And things like Lusher, I think you can get 5 credits free a month or something if you want to. And so Lusher is a good one about finding the people on LinkedIn, getting their email address, which is cool. And there's quite a few people in this whole space doing these sort of sales intelligence type things about how do I use that data? I mean, there's Lusher there. There's many of them. These are all very similar, as in trying to understand that lead, get the data. Okay, now that we've got the lead, so I've taken you down the journey, right? Anonymous people, got the lead. Now we're going to send them an email. So how many people do emails that have video of themselves in the email? Like this going. How many people send video emails? Now, why would you send a video email? The reason with it, so we've gone through all this work, they're anonymous, we figured out the company, we figured out who they are, we think it's these people, we're sending this message. We want them to reply. Now, videos have something like 5 times more reply rates, which is significant. It's also just a great way to communicate. And it doesn't have to be production. It can be rough. Oops, what was I saying? Yeah, no worries. It's the more natural it is, the better results it gets.
Only 13% said yes to video and email.
Yes. Okay, so another big opportunity for everyone there and this is just one provider. There's not as many in this space. I've used a couple. I've used 3 of them here, and BombBomb's quite cheap. I think Hippo Video might be even cheaper. Loom's even cheaper, I think, which is this one here, which is Loom. So this can be a cheap solution. If you use Drift, you can get it as part of the product, which is a chat program. But this is a great way to get someone to answer your email because they go, wow, you've made me a video. That's amazing. And the other thing you can do in those videos, you can say, just click here. And you can put a link in there and then they can click on it and go to your calendar or wherever you want them to go. You just got to make sure where you're pointing to the right side, which takes you a few times to get it right, but it's all good. So on the same way, this one's like a little bonus thing. We've all done surveys to customers. This product costs $50 a month. And what I use this for is it actually is me talking in a video and then choices of like a survey response on the side. So I do it for all onboarding calls, for all discovery calls. I do it for when someone becomes a customer. I've just got all these things that we'd normally have as a survey, except it's now me or one of my team speaking, going blah, 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 blah. Which option do you want? And it's just a much better way to get engagement on a survey. The other thing is someone can answer these questions, if you want to, on video themselves, which has been incredible. So you can have multi-choice plus video. But anyway, it's just a thing. So this is another thing, is on the video of how do you change that text to be dynamic. So it's another technique that I've used that works well. Just a bonus. Okay, email.
Matt, just quickly on that, on those video messages, I bet you've seen if somebody engages with one of those things, you've got a much higher sales conversion than if they don't, and they come
Stupidly higher.
Every time you get someone to interact with what you're doing, you're more likely to get it. That's why we use the word engagement, and they're progressing towards finding out more about your product. Yeah, so Harold's just asked on the chat too, by the way, Matt, can you use these approaches at scale? Say if you're signing up hundreds of people a day.
100%. That's what I'm about to get to now. That's the next question.
The more the better, eh, Harold?
So that's what I do. So I send 5,000 emails a week with those videos in them. So I record a video going, hey, it's Matt, how are you? Thanks for talking here. Have a look at this thing. Can you click on this thing here? And also I've got another link up here. In 5,000 emails. It looks like I did 5,000 emails to them with video, but I only made one video and now I'm sending it 5,000 times a week. So depending on the platform that you use, and something, I use this as Active Campaign, but this is just the concept of a drip, where instead of me manually crunching out the email, I'm going to send this email, I'm going to wait 2 days, I'm going to send this email, and I'm going to wait another 3 days, I'm going to send this. These emails can actually have video in them. So the answer is yes.
Yeah, Matt, and that one email and everyone must have done this. You get an email about something that's interesting. You think, oh yeah, I'll get back to that, and then next thing you know, it's scrolled down. So it might be the second or third time people have heard from you that they engage it. Harold calls that email journeys. And
lots of other names. Drips is the main name. Segments, and then I find those emails, I have to send 3 to someone before they'll reply. And the emails that start to get the replies, the third email going, just moving to the top of your inbox. In case you missed it, I guess you're busy. Here it is again. Like they're not sending a bulk email. They're just little snippets as if you wrote it on your phone. That's what gets the real engagement. And go, here's that video again that I sent you. Other things is when you send a video email, to make sure the subject says bracket video bracket, so that people know that this is not an email. This is a video that's been sent for them. And all those things, they're just little tips and tricks, but what they do is get engagement, like Craig was talking about.
Totally. And just, Matt, you mentioned something that's close to my heart, which is email subject lines. They're really important. They're really important.
Stupidly important, because otherwise no one's even going to get into them.
Totally. Ilea asked on the chat, what about the security concerns of receiving video emails? Perhaps some of I think she means at the receiving end, if people are worried about clicking on links and stuff.
Wow.
Have you seen that as a problem?
I mean, it's in the video and it's coming from you as the trusted source, I guess. So I don't care. It doesn't bother me. Like, it's not like I'm spamming, as in I'm not phishing for people. So I think it's just one of those things. You accept it that as a company, I'm sending out emails and I've got links on it. If people don't want to click on them, they click on them. I want to make it that they can click on them. And when I say, hey, Craig, I've made a video for you, click here to look at the video, and you can see an animated GIF of me talking, then it's less of a click here, can I just get your bank details? So
awesome. And look, I mean, it's a bit of a, scammers, and spammers certainly make our lives more difficult by making people more resistant to these messages.
Yeah, and you could, and I hate it, but someone could say what I'm doing here and what I'm showing you is spamming, and I'd say bull it is. Like, I just don't think it is, because what we're doing is we're finding someone who's on our site. We're finding someone who we think's an ideal customer profile. We're then finding who that person is. And then we're saying, I think I solve your problem. And we're trying to introduce ourselves, as opposed to saying, hey, mate, can you just post me some money? which I think everyone's had one of those phone calls from someone in India,
Mm.
pretending they're calling from Telstra or whatever. So I think when there's a legitimate reason, all the other stuff doesn't matter. In my mind.
Emmett asked, can we send videos of the product demo rather than just people videos?
100%. So that way that product works is there's multiple ways. Like for BombBomb, I can share my screen. So it's a very good tool for support that I say, mate, if you just go here and click on this and do this and this and this, and my head's down the bottom talking, share the screen. So it's fantastic for doing stuff like that. As opposed to writing an email going, click here, do this, and 80, all those steps. It just takes so much time as well. And it's painful for someone as opposed to just a video. There's thousands of use cases for videos. I'm talking about a small sales one here, but and I've also talked about onboarding, like training, like just ridiculous amounts of videos. Is so much more richer. Like we could do everything we're doing right now from an email. Like it's just boring. I could be writing words, but it's video. Drip software. I mean, there's a ton of it out there. Like it is ridiculous how much stuff you can use. But this is what Harold's saying. How do you do it at scale? This is the answer. It's this slide here. This is how you do it at scale using one of these programs. And you create drips for people that you want to warm up or close or find out feedback or whatever else you want to know. Okay. This question here is, how often do people review their website traffic? And when I say review it, how often do they actually see it? Who's using software that lets you actually replay what people are doing on your website and actually watch where their mouse moves and see everything? So seeing a live visitor, or not a live visitor, or a visitor that was there a month ago or whatever it is, and watching all the pages they went on and moving around and doing everything.
Matt, Harold said sometimes, and I think I've used tools like that sometimes, and it's typically when I'm making a change.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand how that change is working.
Yeah, it's not an all-time thing. This is a sometimes thing. But what this does is we come back to the problem at the very top, which was anonymous traffic. What the hell are these people doing? Why aren't these people talking to me? So now I'm actually going, oh, right, that's because that person's clicking on that thing and then they click there and that, oh, yeah, okay. So what you're trying to find here is every single busted thing you're doing, which no matter how many times you find it, you're going to find something else busted. And there always is. It's never perfect. And learning from what's busted. Because when people are moving around, where they're reading is where they're clicking. So you can also learn if the copy is bad. And there's another tool I haven't got in here that you can actually, there's tools now where you can start testing copy, like pay people to test the copy. Like, well, I've got other things I'll talk about that. So there's many things that do that. I started using VW Insights. I've used Hotjar forever. And part of that also is another side bit is doing A/B testing.
Are you going to talk about A/B testing? Yeah.
So like on my site, depending when you go there, there's a picture of me, which is a pretty terrible picture. Well, there's a picture of a girl. And so we're testing what happens. There's a picture of me or a picture of a girl, whoever clicks on it the most. We changed the button text to say something different. Book a demo or book an amazing demo. Whatever it was, book amazing demo got clicked on 3 times more than book a demo. So it shows 2 pages and randomly picks one. And then over time, we figure out which one does. That product costs $199 a month. But this now is getting to the point where, like Harold said, you can watch all these videos, but what do I do? So what you do is you set up an experiment. That's what you do. So you go, okay, from watching these videos, I think this is a stupid thing, or I think this could be done better. And then you set up an experiment and you record that experiment, and then you figure out, did it work or didn't it?
Yeah.
And if it did, you keep it. And if it didn't, you do another one.
Just to summarize, if half the visitors to your website get the new version, and you need to know your metrics, right? Have the analytics in place. And if that new version's got higher conversion rates or more sales or whatever your metric
Whatever
is,
you're tracking, yeah.
then you want to throw away the old version.
Yes, that's exactly what you do.
And then what you want to do is try another improvement.
Now, one hard thing about this is, well, hard for me anyway, was that I would try and do 8 things. and it ate things, and then you go, right, well, that went better, and go, which one was it?
Yeah.
I don't know. So you have to test one thing on that page, one thing, the color of the button, the text, the call to action. What I'm only going to test one. So for me, I'm testing an image, change an image. What happened? More people click the button.
The other thing about A/B testing is it does need a bit of discipline. You have to have a clear experiment, and you also have to look at the results and know when you've got enough information. If you've got 3 sales on one channel and 2 sales on another, they're no different. Increasingly sophisticated tools to tell you when your experiment's ahead, or do you need more traffic?
And most times you need some traffic to do it. If you don't have traffic, there's other solutions, which I think I put in here. There's other solutions like this. So I'll get to that. So if you don't have the traffic, you can pay someone to pretend to be the traffic. And you can do things in here, which I guess one of my favorite tests is the 5-second test, which is I'm going to hold up something and I'm going to go, here we go. This is my website. Okay. Tell me, what did I do? And then people have got to tell you, and be surprised how many websites that you look at for 500 seconds, you go, I don't even understand what it is. I don't know what I'm meant to do. I don't know what I'm meant to click on. I don't even know what you do. I don't know what I'm meant to do. And the only thing I'm going to do is leave.
Oh, and a big shout out on that one for everyone who's a business to business startup. B2B websites are the worst at that sort of thing. And you go to top market leaders like IBM, go to their website, tell me what they do. You can't. Don't be like that.
So there's other tests here about on the page, like a click test. Where would you click on this page? And you go, yeah, but I want them to click that button. And now you actually realize that you've got 3 buttons, and you go, wow, that's why some people click there, and go, what if we deleted those other 2 buttons and we only had 1 button? Or a preference test. You have 2 designs and go, well, which way? Because all the time you guys are all going to be thinking that you know what the right answer is. Well, you don't. And it's the hardest thing to learn is it's not what you think, it's what the people do. And that's what this is all about. Same navigation test. Anyway, stuff like this is good because I can say, I want people who are 40, who have a college education, who live in the south of Brazil or wherever. And then I can then test those people. So and there's lots of things that do on that. Okay, so who does retargeting, which is where you grab someone that visits your website, and everyone would have seen this, right? You go to a website and then suddenly you go, man, I'm just seeing these ads everywhere. How did it happen? I don't understand. Like these people are huge everywhere. It's called retargeting. If you don't know it, everyone probably knows what retargeting is. Who puts their banner ads up to retarget people who come to their website? Now, why would you do this? The anonymous traffic that came there, they didn't interact with us. Now they're going to see an ad. It's another reason for their comeback. If they come back, there's more chance they're going to engage with us again.
Matt, what are your conversion rates like on retargeting versus non-retargeting ads? My experience is about triple the conversion.
I don't actually even look at it from that point of view because the thing about what's happened in my last 4 or 5 years on banner ads is no one clicks them. Right. So because people don't click banners, it's not about the click. It's about them seeing it, putting it in the front of their brain, and at some point coming back and seeing it in enough places and seeing the content. And I do crazy things like this so that this is the person that you're talking to, and I'll try and then show ads of those people. It's much harder to do stuff like this, but just things that are specific. So I use Zapier and I use AdRoll and I use Salesforce, and I can do things like if you didn't turn up to a meeting, then I'll try and target you with banner ads to say, hey, book a meeting. Much harder, but you don't need to do, you can just on a simple level, someone came to your website, talk about the core thing that you do and why and what's in it for them with a single action to go back and do something. What we're trying to do is get people to come back.
20% of people are doing retargeting in their websites currently.
Wow.
So retargeting, something like AdRoll, you know what? It's really cheap to start with AdRoll. You control what the budget is, so you can spend $10 a month if you want to. And then you've got to make banner ads. I don't have it in here, but use something like Banner Snack, which I think might cost less than $50 a month or something. But there's or Canva, other tools out there that will create content for you without going and paying some designer, and you can literally make the banner ad yourself, and they're ridiculously easy. And then the thing you can do in ad roll is, for me, I'll say, if you went to my pricing page, I'm going to retarget you. If you went to my blog page, I'm not going to send you any ads because you're just browsing and you're not the person who's got the intent. So the last thing you want to do is spend a whole bunch of money and waste it on people. You want to be specific about, this is someone that I'm actually targeting because the intent of what they did on the site, but I don't know who they are. Does that make sense in a crazy way?
Yeah, I think genius, Matt. And the different, like if they've been to the pricing page, they're the people I really want to see my ad. And I didn't know you could do that actually. So that's,
no, so you just put the URL, right? I'm only going to target the people who went to, for me, it's book a demo and pricing. People who went to those two in they're called high intent pages. If you went to those 2 high intent pages, only then will I advertise to you. And then you can do more sophisticated things, which I do. So I'll say, now Zapier talks to Salesforce, that person's become closed lost. I'll turn off that ad campaign and change it and say, if that campaign's got someone who's in closed lost, by the way, they've also become closed won, I'll turn them off. So I don't want to advertise to someone I've already won. So you can do lots of things between Zapier and whatever CRM you've got to then dynamically change what actually happens in something like ad roll. And you can probably do the same in AdWords to a degree. Ad roll just gives more control, I think.
everyone understand closed lost means we decided we weren't going to make a sale on that customer based on our further interactions. Closed won means I don't need to sell to that person anymore because they're my customer now.
We did a deal. Show me the money. We got the money.
Everyone was clear about that. We're getting through this really well, Matt.
No worries. Well, hopefully we can have some questions on it as well. So part of this also, this traffic thing and things engaging, which I didn't really talk about, but why I'm going to put in here, if your site runs like a dog and you go, yeah, it's a bit slow, isn't it? And you've got some stupid large images in there, you just want to, whatever the reason is, and there's plenty of tools out there that can check, like things like why slow is, how your site's going. Using a product like WP Engine, that will also give you a thing called a CDN, which what it does is cache your network. So it puts your site on thousands of other servers. So it runs fast. So think about speed. Think about how fast your site runs and in the countries that you sell. And even if it's just Australia, if it's slow, it's bad. And we've all been there. We're on a site. We're like waiting for the contact page to go. And it's like, oh, stuff, and I'm leaving. That's another person who's just left your site. They just got tracked in there. So how fast does your site run? And if it's not damn fast, you got to do something.
Yeah, I'd rather have less content and it's snappy.
Yes, it's a hard thing to do. Okay, so then other things, I've talked about these things in the past. These will cost a couple $100 to $300. So Ahrefs, Moz, and there's another one which I've fallen off my head. Anyway, what these sites do is they will let you look at the traffic that's going in, but they'll also let you look at your competitors' traffic to a degree. So you can see with your competitors, what's the keywords that they're getting traffic for. So what I've done is I've seen my competitors and they've got like 4 pages of the blogs that are getting crazy amount of traffic. I wrote the same blog, same title, just different text. Now those pages are my highest ranking pages. And you can do the exact same thing. And these all have trials that Ahrefs and the other ones out there, and then figure out what's going on those competitors' websites. Where's the traffic coming from? What countries are coming from? What pages are they going to? Are they running AdWords? What are the AdWords they're actually running? Look at the copy of them. But a real good insight into actually seeing stuff and doing stuff. This is another level, but I'm just going to tell people because, you know, in life, you think you've got the level and then it just always keeps going up and up and up. This is like I'm talking like enterprise crazy level. So this is software that I use, and it's just very good. So what's good about it? So it's a program. It's like a drip email. So I'm going to put you on a drip. The difference what Outreach does is why all these other programs fail is if I put you on a drip that says, hey, I just want you to book a meeting, Harold books the meeting. I then send him on a drip and it's going to send an email because he booked the meeting and I didn't manually turn him off. I'll send him another email. I'll send him an email in 5 days' time saying, hey, can you book the meeting? And then Harold will reply back, I've booked it, you idiot, but forget it. So what this does, or I called him and I spoke to him. So Outreach will know if I've called him, turn the sequence off. If he replied, turn the sequence off. So I can write lots of crazy emails about going, hey man, still haven't heard you. Hey, how you going? Hey, and it'll keep on going forever, but it won't look ridiculous, which you said you're very limited in when you run a normal drip, what you've got to do. Because most of those drips are, look at me, here's something, here's a big chunk of something. These are very much specifically trying to target someone about something, which I've got amazing reply rates of like 27%. And what I find with these emails, when they work so well, on the third or fourth time, I'm getting people apologizing because they send it from my Gmail account. So they don't send it from if you're using one of these other things like MailChimp, ABC589, and you get those ridiculous long email addresses it comes from, this comes from me. So using a program like this, people apologize to me. Because I find one of the biggest things is I spoke to these people and they just never got back to me, right? But this is a way to end that. Another enterprise level thing, and there is other tools out here that are cheaper, but I use this, is to think about all the calls that you do. And what this does is it tells me all the calls that my guys do. And was it me talking? Was it them talking? Like, did we have a meeting? Did we have a call? And then understanding from all this sort of stuff, it's more sophisticated, right? But understanding what's the deal going to happen, when it's going to happen, when do they say it's going to happen? Like this one here, it's never going to happen. There's no activity going down here. And just giving me a visual view of what's actually going on. I can then go into each call. I get a notification when a competitor was mentioned or any other keyword, and I can really see and jump to it and listen to it exactly. And then I can coach someone and say, you know, when someone says that, don't ever say that. Say these 3 things. You know, that thing you just said, never say that again because it's crazy. This is what you should say. Just another tool. Okay. It's good time for now for questions. Hopefully I've given you something there that I gave you one idea, some little thing, and that you think about from the very beginning about what's a sale cost. And then you think, well, could I do one sale? And you try one of those things. And if you try one of those things and you change that ridiculous 97%, then that's a cool thing.
So people think of questions, and you can just unmute and ask a question and or put it on the chat, whichever you prefer. Look, I hope everyone can just hear Matt's passion about getting results. You're passionate about getting results. And I think the other thing that I hope it's clear from Matt's presentation is he's not just passionate about getting results, knows all the tools he's tried out. The reason he knows what works and doesn't is he's passionate about knowing his numbers and being honest, what worked and what didn't. So that's the basis. But any questions about anything that Matt's talked about? I'd love to get some good questions.
But what Craig's saying on that is think about an experiment. So I've just given you a bunch of experiments, and that's the whole way of looking at this stuff. What worked, what didn't work.
Matt, we had a 100% conversion on people learning something in this webinar, which is pretty good.
Nice.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone.
We just need 3,000 people on it.
Matt, just had a question regarding outreach. So are you using that to also manage your, well, actually write your, I guess, the drips, the sequence?
Yes, I do use that.
Right. Okay. And it also does the email automation and all that as well, does it? I don't need to connect it to anything.
Yeah. So I connect to Salesforce for that data.
Right. Okay.
Where everything sits. And normally, that's why I said those things at the end. They're more things that are aspirational to go for. I don't know how many people are using Salesforce. Probably not many, but they're more sophisticated. But other programs are trying to get there. They're just not there. But that's what I wanted to show you is how far you can go. Because that program also has a dialer in it, right? And that's how it knows when it's connecting to someone. It has a product in it called Kia that when you say a word, it will pop up on the screen to me as a rep and go, oh, they've mentioned the competitor, say these 3 things. So it gives coaching on the fly as well. When I'm on the call, I say, mate, I'm going to send you that deck. I'm going to send you that file. It'll give me a list of to-dos after the end of the call because it's analyzed the call and said what I said I was going to do.
Matt, Sharon's asked a good question. How much time per day would you spend reviewing and analysing the data, or do you have a designated staff member do this?
There's no set answer. So sometimes I'll stick my head in the bucket forever, and then other times I'll say to someone, go look at this. So for me, normally, the way I look at most of these things is, here's a problem, how do I fix it? And then I'll stick my head in the bucket to the point that I'm getting it to work, and then I've got people that will run it. So I'm not doing the daily run of it, but it's finding it, getting it, identifying. I haven't shown you every possible problem you can have on your website, but you could pay some growth hacker 50 grand and they could write your report and tell you these 20 tools.
Having watched your work, Matt, you absolutely get the team to engage in these things, but you as the founder is always sort of leading that effort to find the new insight, find the way to improve, and that's got to be founders who are just passionate about their products.
So I look at it from conversion rate. 100%. So conversion rate is the thing that I'm constantly obsessed with, which drives all this. So how many, and I don't look at it from the way of what did we win. I look at it from what did we lose. So that's what I started this whole thing from you. We are losing 97% of our traffic. You are losing 97% of your traffic. Is that okay to lose 97%? And if you think it's okay, well, we're very different. So how do I change that 97% into 90%? Or how do I even just change it to 96? And that's what all this stuff comes from. That whole do the opposite, fix it. Do the opposite, fix it.
And if you change it from 97 to 96, you've made a 33% increase in sales.
And it can be an insane thing on your business.
Because it's leveraged.
Yeah. And the multipliers on this stuff is crazy. Just one of these ideas could double your business. Just one of them. And implemented poorly as well, I can add. Do one of these things, do it badly, and it could double your business.
Well, and honestly, Matt, you probably agree, and certainly been my experience. First time you try something like this, it's not always perfect.
No.
And you typically takes a while to refine it, get it set up the way you want. That's why I like to watch my metrics. Did this experiment make things better?
Mm-hmm.
If there's still further room for improvement, good.
Yeah, and think about something like chat, which was the easiest one, okay? So if you put chat in, the easy way is look at how many leads you get, how many contacts did you get, how many people reached out to you, okay? So before we put chat in, we got 10 people a month. We put chat in, and now we get, what do we get a month? And is there a difference? And if there isn't, I should eat my shoe. But it depends on your traffic, right, as well. So if you don't get any visitors, well, the whole thing on this is I'm talking about someone who gets visitors to their website. I'm not talking you have to get tens of thousands of visitors. You just got to get some visitors. If you don't get any traffic, then this whole thing's rubbish anyway. You can't do it. So you need to get visitors.
But some of those visitors were coming via your retargeting, via your email outreach, and via other things, right? So it's a feedback process.
It is a feedback process as well.
Now, many of some of you might have very different sorts of businesses or different sales funnels. Some of you trying to make super big business to business sales. Does anyone, I think there's still a lot relevant in this.
It's all the same. It might seem different and go, well, that's not really my business. And it's like, it's all the same. And it is, it's the same. Exactly. It's the same. Like it really is. No matter B2C, B2B, big deals, small deals, little deals, whatever, all these things are all about conversions.
Matt, where is most of your traffic coming from?
US.
Right. But I mean, I guess what's the channel, like what's the reason, from where are they coming to where they find out?
All right. So the biggest part, so I get a lot of traffic to my blog. So all the stuff I've told you is all a secret of my universe. So it's keep it all to yourself, which I didn't put on this slide, but it is my secret universe, which I'm sharing with you, which for you, the more people you share it with, the worse it is for you because none other people know all this stuff. I use a product called Content Fly and they write my blogs. So I didn't tell you that one either. So Content Fly write my blogs. I don't pay them a lot of money. I think I pay them $300 a month. And then that content is what drives a lot of traffic. I also pay for AdWords. I also pay for Captera. I pay for AdRoll. I don't pay a lot. But you should think about what's your revenue and then what's the percentage you spend on that advertising.
Yep. And
if you look at someone like Monday.com, which you probably all know, they spend 100+% of their income. So they might make 40 or 60 million for that month. They'll spend 40 to 60 million on ads that month. So if they made 40 million, they'll spend 45 million. They made 60, they'll spend 70. And I'm not telling you to be that crazy, but you should generally, when I look at a lot of people, they're going to spend sub 1% of their revenue on advertising and driving traffic, because all this starts with driving traffic, right? If you don't drive the traffic, you can't convert anyone. But you've got to be careful about how you spend it and what you do. So things like LinkedIn is really good to get traffic, but it's the most expensive traffic in the universe.
Hey, Matt,
Targeted.
can I ask a question?
Go.
Some mistakes, if you wouldn't mind sharing. What wouldn't you do? What have you learned that doesn't work?
We need like another 15, 20
Well, yeah, just one.
years. So all that stuff doesn't work. So everything I just showed you, all of it can fail. Every single part of it can fail. There isn't a single bit of that. So, okay, so let's pick the most easiest one, chat. I put the chat bot that fires up and the chat bot goes, hello. That's all it says. And then no one ever clicks on it, replies. I don't know why no one replies to my chat bot, because I say hello. People don't say hello back. And that's because it didn't say the right thing at the right time. So a further example of that, you're on the pricing page. Hey, do you want help with the pricing? But if you just put a bot on the pricing page and it just goes, hello, that's an example where it won't work. And all that is hundreds of experiments, if not thousands on chat, to get those chats to engage, to get people to do something because it was on the right thing. It said the right thing at the right time. Same with the emails, the subject lines. Crazy amount of experiments trying to figure out what is the one that people reply to. What is the one that's crap? Don't ever send that one again. Do this one.
Totally.
All those things fail. You just got to keep going till you find what works for you.
While people think of one more last question, because we're nearly out of time, I'm just going to remind everyone a couple of things. Firstly, well, of course, thanks, Matt. That was awesome. Still time for one or two.
I've got one idea out of it. One idea.
Well, we got 100% said yes. So I think there's some good signs there. Remember, this is our weekly innovation challenge, and part of our theme here is to challenge you to act. What is a thing you're going to do now? Do it. I really want you to do something. Do something.
I want you to do something as well.
Maybe do something this week. Maybe do several of these things over time. You don't have to do them all tomorrow. You need to do something, and then it adds up.
Do one of them.
Do one and add it up. I hope everyone benefited from last week's challenge, which was reaching out and sharing, reaching out to somebody and having a discussion around some problem or challenge you had. And I really, really hope you had got some benefit out of that. And if you haven't, you can still do it. You can still do it. Next week, we've got a super great event, super great next webinar lined up. We've got Sylvia Tulloch and Nick McNaughton. They're going to talk about engaging with investors through Zoom. And, in these difficult environments, investors close to many people's hearts. Let's hear from two real investors and have a chat about that sort of thing. I hope you've really felt Matt's passion about results. If you've got the best invention, the best new innovative product in the world, and you're not passionate about getting it to the people, it's harder to make it happen. Just try and tap into that. Just try and emulate a little fraction of that, that sort of knife sharp focus. Zach's put on the chat a link to register for next week. Please do come along. Please tell your friends. Keep Matt's special ideas secret, but everything else.
Don't tell anyone. I've just told you, don't tell anyone, because they're things that have taken me 20 years to figure out.
And look, but that's also the principle of what we're trying to do here, is help the new entrepreneurs or next generation entrepreneurs, or even very skillful entrepreneurs, learn from each other. If there's not another quick last question, I'm going to wrap up now and say thank you very much, Matt. Thanks everyone for coming along, being part of it. Look after yourselves in COVID lockdown. Look after your business. Look after your family. And most importantly, look after your customers and find new customers. Thanks a lot, everyone. And talk to you next week, if not sooner. Thanks, Matt.
No worries. Just spend this time doing it, right? Because this is a good time to do it.
Excellent. Excellent. Yes.
Great time to do it. It's the best time to do it.
If you can't get into the lab or the factory to make things, time to work on your optimizations. Great idea.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks,
No worries.
Matt.
On you, Peter.
Everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Craig.
Oh, thank you, Matt. I really appreciate it.
All good.